Hey everybody, I'm Garen and this is CitizenDiplomacy.net. I'm on a mission to talk to one person from every country in the world, and today we're talking to Pietro from Italy. Pietro is an artist and he focuses his work on freedom. As an American, and as somebody who's kind of like a nerdy thinker and historian and stuff, I feel like we take freedom for granted. We know that we have it, but we don't spend a lot of time thinking about what it really means. So I was excited to get to talk to a guy today who has done that and to hopefully put some ideas out there that are going to get you thinking about what freedom means to you. So I don't want to rehash any of the ideas that we cover, so let's jump right into it. Here's Pietro from Italy.
Gary?
Hey, Pietro.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how about you?
Really well, thanks. So, nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too. I'm really excited to talk to you today. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me.
It's a pleasure.
So, you are an expert in freedom, huh?
Yes, but expert, it's a big word, but I am really interested in this issue.
Well, good. I am too. So, tell me about your work a little bit. You said that you studied in New York and in Johannesburg.
Yes, basically I am an architect as a profession and I do art, so I usually work with paper and during my, we can say my work, I used to do some residency out and in 2010 I was in New York and last year was in Johannesburg, and now I am planning to go to Miami in October and November.
Cool. And so, when you were in these places, and were you just making art, or it sounded like you were like doing research and stuff, correct? Or
yes, it depends in the kind of residency. Sometimes they are just private art residency, so they invite you to make your own work, and sometimes these residency are linked with some university. So in the case of New York, I was a researcher for Columbia University, and when I was in Johannesburg, I have make some we can say connection and study with Wits University, but some other time, for example, in Miami, it would be just private residency. So there will not be a university connection. It depends in where I go.
okay, cool. So, the reason why I'm really interested in freedom is, so I'm an American, and in America we think that we're like the freest country in the world, that we kind of invented freedom, and that's what makes us great, and we always say things like God bless America, and bless our troops for fighting for freedom. And I love my country and I enjoy freedom too, but I say, look at the country that we live in now. We can be arrested without being charged with a crime. We can be held indefinitely without having a trial. The government can kill American citizens now without any rule of law, which they've done 4 times. Journalists and whistleblowers can be prosecuted and silenced. We're fighting countless wars around the world that are completely illegal, that are killing innocent civilians without any oversight or authority from our representation. And I say, how are any of these things indicative of the freest country in the world? But meanwhile, in a couple months, we're going to go out and have parades and fireworks for 4th of July and talk about freedom, and nobody cares. And I say this stuff and people go, oh, shut up, you hippie. If we do those things, then it must be because we have to, and they're only terrorists, they're bad people anyways. And anyways, I think that the reason happens in America is because we don't really know what freedom is. Like, we know that we have it, but we don't know what it is, and we don't know what it looks like. So when things get taken away from us, we go, well, it must not have been freedom anyways. Like, you know what I mean?
Yes,
So,
no.
so my question to you is, what is freedom? Like, what does freedom really look like?
Okay, this is the biggest question you can do. Let's begin from somewhere. You have talked about different issue. First of all, about this feeling of self-defense. A really banal thing, but if you imagine that before the Second World War, every country used to have a ministry of the war with troops, plane, tank, etc. After the Second World War, this ministry turned into the Ministry of Defense. What is inside? It's the same and identical thing: army, troops, etc.
It's not
But
war though; it's defense.
exact, just the word change from war to defense. And this is very, very, very important because people need to defend themselves in every part of the country. So if you imagine the situation in Syria or in Iran, people feel that they have to fight between their own governor to be free or to defend themselves. Or if we go a little bit down, in Israel or in Palestine, in Jordan, in Lebanon, this country feel that they have to fight with the country just near to them to stay free, to defend themselves. So we know quite well this kind of defending ourselves and defending our territory, because history have talked to us about war of nation, one between another one, French people against German people against Polish people, and so and so and so. So the new kind of defending ourselves or our country, it's to make action far away from our border. But we can't say it's not a sort of defense. So I think it's not up to us to decide if it is a good way or a bad way. We can say it's a bad way because there are a lot of people who die for this, etc. But it's just the same way that history have used in all his time. It's just translated from a near country to a faraway country. So maybe United States didn't need to attack Mexico or Canada for defend their border, but they need to make action really far away from their border. But this is how world change. So first of all, you have talked about, I think, defending our country.
And just the other day, I had the same conversation with my girlfriend because I went to Iran last year, and that's kind of like a big subject for me. It's such a great place. Obviously, they have a lot of problems. I'm not saying that they don't. You know, they are living under a crazy government, but beautiful country, amazing people, absolutely no reason for us to go fight them. And I told my girlfriend, over the past 50, 60 years, we have deposed a democratically elected president. We propped up a crazy dictator just because we liked him. We funded their enemies that killed 1 million people. A bloody decade-long war. We lumped sanctions after sanctions on them that have just impoverished the people and destroyed their lifestyle. And we've done it all in self-defense. And now we have to defend ourselves from them. I told her, what crazy world do we live in when somebody can just systematically dick over a country in every way possible, and then we have to go in front of the whole world and go, these people are so bad. We have to defend ourselves from them. It's like, just leave them alone. Leave them alone. You don't have to worry about it.
Yes, that's true. But if you want to be the most important country, you can't leave everyone alone, I suppose. Or I think this is how some people think in the United States. So, no, let's say also this, that if you want to build up a strong society, and if you want to define what is inside the border of your society, of what you want to define a free society, you can't do this if out there aren't any enemies of this society. So a society can be defined just if you define what is inside and what is outside. And the most you find enemy outside, the most the people inside feel linked and strong together. And that's really normal. I think, I don't know, just to make an example, if you go on a blog about people who love music and who love, I don't know, punk music, they will write that they will hate pop music.
Yeah,
So
Justin Bieber's gay.
their identification exists also because they love something, but mostly because they hate something else.
Mm-hmm.
And this is really human and really normal. So it would be really, really difficult to don't have any enemies against you. Also, if these people don't know nothing about you and maybe they don't care a lot about you, but if you don't define enemy, you can't define what you believe on. So this is another important point about our conversation.
Do you think
And
that if you recognize that, though, that we can move past it? Because I 100% agree with you. I think that and the more people I talk to from around the world, the more I learn that, you know, identity is such an important part of being a human. There's 7 billion of us, and we all want to think that we're special. You know, we're a special snowflake. We're not like everybody else. And like you said, the easiest way to figure out what you are is to know what you're not.
exactly.
We go, I know what we are because we're not them, and we want to know that we're good. And in order for us to be good, they all have to be bad. So we're the good guys. They're all assholes, and like you said, it's not like an indictment of anybody. It's totally human nature. But it seems like, especially now, like with the internet and stuff, we should get to a point where we realize that that's what's happening, and then we identify ourselves not by the easy way, you know, what side of a line you live on, but go, oh, hey, here's Pietro and I. We live on opposite sides of the world, but we're united by something stronger than nationality. You know, like we have this interesting conversation. We have, you know, things that we have in common. We're on the same team now. You know, maybe he's over there, I'm over here, but I don't know.
Yes, maybe if we continue to talk and we became friends, we can discover that we have same enemy or same people that we didn't like a lot, like people who bomb or other kind of people. So if we want to be really friends, or if we want to have a link with each other, first of all, we have to find what we don't love. In fact, at the beginning of your conversation, you have begun to telling me what are things that you didn't love. And so that's just to make you another stupid example. I was with my 3 years old son last Sunday watching a cartoon at the cinema. And after half an hour, the cartoon wasn't really like a classical cartoon, so he got a little bit lost, and he told me, who are the good guys and who are the bad guys? And I was trying also to understand because it didn't was so clever in this cartoon who were the bad guys and who were, but you know, he don't know nothing about society, but he already know that there are bad guys and good guys, and he don't know nothing about Iran or terrorist people or other part of the world, but we need this. We need good guys and we need bad guys. And I think that's really human and we can't go through this.
Hmm. That's really interesting. I've never thought about that. It's too bad that we don't grow up. We're all like that, you know. Like I love history, and in any subject that you pick, you start really digging down in depth, and you realize there's no such thing as black and white. Like we like thinking that when we go to war, it's because there's these bad guys, and we have to just ride out and meet them head on, and it's this glorious struggle, and it's tough, and then we win the day. Well, the more you learn, you realize there's no good guys and bad guys. They've got their motivations, and we did some bad stuff too. And it's this really ambiguous thing. But like you said, we need to know just who's good, who's bad. Just tell us that much, and then that's it.
Yes, we have to say that for our first 10,000 years of history, we have need this. And for at the moment, there isn't much difference between 10,000 years ago. But also, if you talk about freedom, a special issue when you talk about freedom, it's to talk about the enemies of freedom. If you have in your mind what happens during the last 2 years in the what we call the Arab Spring, so in the Arab world, with people in the street asking for more freedom or asking from freedoms from someone, from I don't know Mubarak or other despot. This idea of asking freedom from someone, it's the more powerful idea of freedom. So in the street, everyone have the same idea of freedom. We want freedom from the despot. We want freedom from an autocratic government. And when you get this freedom from someone, and you have to build up a new free, equal society, this begin to be a problem, because if the freedom from the enemy, the freedom from someone, put all the people together, the way how to progress and how to have a new kind of freedom, everyone have his idea, and maybe all the ideas are good idea, but there isn't anymore just one idea of freedom, but it's split in thousands of ideas of freedom. So it's what we are seeing with the Arab Spring, and it's what happened with all kind of revolution. So to have an enemy of freedom, it's what link all the people together and make people die for ask this freedom. But it's people will not die to make an equal law or something like this. So it's kind of really interesting issue about freedom. The enemies, you need enemies of freedom to be free, and this is big question mark that a lot of philosophers talk about. And also to come back to the beginning of our conversation, when you have talked about freedom in the USA, it's really interesting because there is something about this. When I was at Columbia University, I've made a research about some liberal thinker. One of those was Robert Nozick, that wrote Anarchia, State and Utopia. He was really liberal. He thought for him the maximum freedom is the minimum state. So state didn't have to tell you what you have to do, how much tax you have to pay, etc., etc. And so it was interesting because, and I have done also some work of art about this. What was interesting is that usually in the United States, the word freedom has been defined as the opposite of slavery. So you are free if you are not a slave. So you are free from a master, or you are free from an autocratic government. In Europe, this historically it's a little bit different, in the meaning that freedom it's not like the light that you can turn on and off, but freedom it's something inside you, and you have to work with the society around you to reach a more high level of freedom. And this also could be a problem because some autocratic government like communism, fascism and other one have used this idea of collectivism to tell people what you have to do to reach this higher level of freedom. So it's really interesting, the word freedom, but it's really difficult to define it. And also another thing, when I was there, I had the occasion to interview an American teacher of philosophy, and it was really nice because he began his conversation telling me, "Look, I born in San Diego, and what I thought was freedom was go to the mall, to the shopping center, and find 50 different kind of toothpaste to choose." And so we thought that we were free just because we have 50 kind of toothpaste to choose rather than 25. But he was telling me that for him, at the end, this come really banal idea of freedom, so freedom to choose different things. And for him, in the United States based their freedom on sort of new slavery class, a class of people who don't have the same right to come in the United States to work, and they're not, we can say, free as everyone else is. And so it was also quite interesting because he told me, we are in the United States, we feel we are free to do whatever we want. So at the moment, we don't know really well what to do with this freedom. We don't know how to manage this freedom. And so he told me, the new way to be free now, it's discipline our body. So control very well what we are eating, or making a lot of exercise, etc., etc. And this is very interesting because if you become a dictator of yourself, so if you put some really strict law about yourself, you feel completely free because you feel that everything is in your hand, that no one is pushing you in another way, and you feel you have the control, first of all, about your body, and second, about what is around you. And so it comes like a big contradiction. To be free, you have to become a sort of small dictator. Yes, a dictator of yourself, but it's another way to be a dictator. So the issue of freedom have thousands of different tone of gray, and it's really interesting to study it.
If anybody's gonna be a dictator, though, I'd rather it be me, and be only myself that it affects. It is an interesting idea, but I hear that and I go, I'm not too opposed to that idea of dictatorship, as long as everybody's their own dictator, you know, of themselves.
Exact.
And that's what freedom is, you know. It's like you said, you were talking about, you know, completely controlling your environment, and for me, that's what freedom means. It means you have, you know, 100% control over your own destiny, as long as it doesn't impact anybody else's destiny in a negative way, you know.
Yes, it's a way, but we can also think this. We can say, I don't know if this word exists in English, but we can say an atomistic way to feel freedom. Atomistic in the meaning an individual way to be free. Maybe, but I don't have the answer to this big question. But maybe freedom about ourselves, it's not so important near to freedom of the people that are around us. So if we don't think that we are just one, but if we think that we are 10, 100, 1,000, 1 million people, this become really different. And so sometimes people say, my freedom finish when your freedom begin. And also this, maybe it's not very true, because if I am completely free, freedom doesn't mean every time make the right thing. Freedom means also I can choose to do the bad thing, because this is freedom. Freedom it's not a synonym of be happy, or it's a different thing. So if I want to take a gun and go in a bank and ask for money, I have to be free to do this bad action. Obviously, I know that maybe police can take me and put me in jail, but it's a possibility that I need to have if I want to be free. But what happened? If we talk about freedom, not just for someone, but for a group of people, my freedom is to take your own experience and introject into my own freedom. So the most people I know, the most I am free, because their freedom comes inside me. And so the paradox that I was telling you before, the idea to go in a bank, shoot someone to have money, in this moment go down. Because if you shoot to someone and if you kill someone, you will not, you can't take his idea of freedom and put in your own ideas. So this is another way to think about freedom. Freedom for a lot of people and not freedom just for one of us.
I don't know. That doesn't make me feel like a warm, fuzzy American when I think of that. I like the, I like the freedom of one idea.
Yeah, this is, you know, in the last century, all the idea of philosophy mixed together, so we can't anymore talk about an idea of an American freedom, or an idea of European freedom, or East side of the world. But it's true, as I was telling you before, that freedom has been defined as opposite of slavery. So freedom from someone, it's different from freedom to do something with the people that are around you. And this kind of difference, also what we call the social contract. So if you are part of a society, you decide to sign a sort of social contract. So to do also think that maybe you're not really agree with, but you do because it's a social contract. So in a contract you have things that you like and things that you didn't like. But if you live in a society, this idea of social contract and the idea paying tax for people that will need, I don't know, doctor or something like this, medicine, etc. It's not. It creates at the beginning. It creates a different. Every people it's not equal, so someone has to pay more than other one, and this could be feel as something not right, but it's what Jean-Jacques Rousseau called social contract. So maybe someone is not agree and maybe other one are agree, and it's incredible because this kind of issue there have been people are talking about this from 300 years, but nothing changed in politics. Every time one president or one governor say we don't want to pay too much tax, and the other one say yes, listen, let's pay a little bit more tax, but let's give more money to people that need it. So it's 300 years that we are talking always and always about the same identical things, and nothing changed in Italy, in France, in Germany, in USA, in all the country. We are always and always talking about this.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and another thing, when you asked me at the beginning what is the answer, how people can be free, the very interesting thing about the word freedom, it's that this word go faster than you, and you can't take in your hand, because in the historical moment when people thought that they have a definition of this important word freedom, and thought that they have a way to save their population and give freedom for their population, these moments are the most terrible moment in our history, because all the dictators were like lightened by the idea of freedom. For example, if we talk about Pol Pot, he was a big fan about Jean-Jacques Rousseau, and Jean-Jacques Rousseau didn't love a lot the bourgeoisie, and so Pol Pot take his word, and so eliminate all the bourgeoisie class. And this is a problem also. So if you think that you have the answer of this question, you feel that you have to do what you can to make your population free, because it's so important. And in this moment, the autocratic government take place. So I think that nobody of us have to know what freedom is.
So that makes sense, but what do you know, if you're in a position where you say, all right, you know, we're, like I said, we're obviously not in where we should be, you know, we're not as free as we should be, or these things that are happening that don't, you know, that we don't want to be a part of our country or our society, and that makes sense. Maybe we should be wary of somebody who comes in and says, hey, I have all the answers, but you got to do something. So what has to give there? What's the response?
What's the response? So what we have to do? In different parts of the world and in different parts of our history, people thought that going the street and ask for something was a good idea, and that was a good idea. Maybe in some of our society, I think about Italy, we are a little bit lazy and we don't want to go in the street, but work with other people and think with other people what would be the best for everyone, not just for 1 or 10, could be a good beginning, but because I'm not a political man, I don't have any answer to this question. And also inside me, I don't know what is freedom. I don't know. Maybe because I born in a free country, so maybe I don't know how to use really this kind of freedom. And maybe I also need enemies of freedom to be convinced about my idea. So if I don't know if Spain decide to attack Italy, maybe my idea of freedom comes stronger and stronger in my mind, because freedom will be freedom against Spanish invasori so people who occupy. But as I was telling you before, I think we need enemies of freedom to feel what freedom is.
Interesting. I don't know. I mean, it totally makes sense. You know, like we said, it's a human nature thing. You know, but I don't know. It also, I think that freedom. You know, it's a core, like, we should be free. You know, and it's a lofty goal to define what it is and strive towards it. You know, so. Obviously, like, if you do have an outside force to push against, it makes it easier to define it. But that's not real. That's not the real definition, you know. So I don't want to, downplay it too much. I think that we should, redefine it and then set our goals and then strive towards that, you know.
Absolutely. Obviously, I was joking, but for example, just to tell you something about Italy. In the last election, just 2 months ago, there is a political party. It isn't really a political party, it's more like a movement that didn't exist before, just born and take 25% of the vote. It was like the second most important political party, or the first, someone say, political party in Italy. And it just born like this, with the leader of this political party that is a comic actor, but really comic. His work is to be a comic actor.
Cool.
And what he have say in the street is, we hate politics. Everything in Italy is shit. They are stealing you everything. It's terrible. All political men have to go home, and so and so and so. And because it's like 40 years that there is a little bit, not a little bit, also a lot of corruption in politics in Italy, money and so on, people were like, we don't want anymore this kind of politics, so let's give our vote to this new man. And he take 25%, something incredible. People can't believe about this. The day after, they've told him, okay, now what we can do? And it was like, but
You're like, I don't know, I'm just a comedian.
I don't know. So what it was interesting, it was that if you fight from someone, everyone is agree with you, and so it's like the Arab Spring. So you get a lot of vote, you get a lot of energy, because it's more easy to say everything is shit, we have to change, we have to change. And after, when you want really to change, you say, no, listen, I don't want to go in political building and say what make new law. I want to be the opposition and say always, no, it's better for me. And so we had, just like week new election just for citizen election just for the city, and it was like 25%, and now it's like 6% of the vote. So in 2 months it shot down like this because people have give him his vote, but after they have understand that you don't have any way to change, to really change the society. So this is what is happening in this moment in Italy. And you know that we have a political man called Berlusconi that a lot of people hate and a lot of people love. When Berlusconi last year say, I don't want to be anymore a political man, the first week everyone was like really excited about this. A lot of us is going in the street with champagne and say, wow, that's after 20 years, that's a revolution. But after we have seen that also the left party didn't know what to say to people, because for 20 years they have said Berlusconi is shit, is shit, is shit, is shit, is shit for 20 years, and now they didn't have a new song to say. And so when the enemy wasn't anymore there, they get really lost. They didn't know who was the enemy, so they didn't know what tell to people. In fact, the last election was another time Berlusconi who had a lot of votes, because at the end it didn't go away, he come back. But left party, I think, was really happy because he know against who to fight. Because if you don't have a strong enemy, you don't know against who fight. And so it's for this that when I say yes, we are free, etc., but have an enemy of freedom help us a lot.
Yeah, and that's why, just like this conversation, we need to educate people about what freedom is, because people are just inherently stupid, and they don't want to think. Like, that same thing happens in America, In America, I don't know what other countries are like, but America's like a very binary place. You're left or right. You're conservative or liberal, Republican or Democrat. Like, you're one of those two teams. And, for 8 years, the conservatives, the Republicans, they were in control. And we had George Bush, who got us involved in these wars that we didn't need and spent money that we didn't have, So everybody hates that guy. So then we got to go the other direction. Now we have Obama. What happens under Obama? More war, more spending. And the thing is everybody is fine with it because it's their guy. And they go, well, at least he's not Bush. And I always say, if Bush did the same things that Obama did, we would impeach him. We would be out in the streets going, oh my gosh, there's this crazy guy from Texas blowing up brown people with robots in the sky. But the fact that Obama does it, they're like, oh, well, he knows what he's doing. He's a smart guy. And it makes me so mad. It's like, how dumb do you have to be? You're so stuck in this binary, framework that, I don't know, it's just so maddening to me. So that's why I want to ask you questions, and be like, hey, unplug from this this framework and, start thinking about stuff.
No, I understand you very, very well, and it's not so different in my country. There are some differences, but not so much. At the end, we are always talk about similar thing. Obviously, who is the president of United States will be a little bit more important than who is the governor of Italy. And so you have more responsibility of us, but at the end, it's true that at the end, when you vote, it's really basic. And uh, also, if you think about some USA president like Kennedy against Nixon, Nixon is felt as the terrible guy, and Kennedy is felt as the angel in earth. And maybe it was, I don't know, I have not met him, but the war in Vietnam began with Kennedy, and the Cuban problem began with Kennedy, and so and so and so. But and poor Nixon, it's the one that ends the war in Vietnam, but no one remind him for this. We always remind Kennedy as the leader of freedom. Maybe it was. I don't want to say that it wasn't really clever and human people, fantastic people. It's not what I want to say. But history changed things a lot, and our perception about people also changed a lot about how these people present themselves. So what you are saying about Obama, it's true. Maybe if another president have tried to make the same thing, people hate him, but people in all the world love Obama, and this is nice because in the last 10 years, people didn't have a nice feeling with United States because of Bush, and now everyone loves another time United States. So I think this is more important. Maybe that's what the president do day by day. It's more like a global feeling about how people feel the country where you live.
Do you, as a foreigner, do you agree with that? Like, do you, in Italy, do you think that people have, stronger sentiments, more friendly feelings towards Americans with Obama? Because that's what we always think in America. We're like, well, at least he's good for our image around the world. I would say, man, go to Yemen, ask them what they think about America now.
I don't know what Yemen they think. This could be really an interesting question for Yemenite people. But it's true that in Italy we have this feeling that now everyone is friendly, and before no. It's strange because American people are not Bush, and American people are not Obama, and Italian people are not Berlusconi. So it's just a governor. Obviously, someone have give his votes to him, but at the end is a man. And so usually we try to make things simple. So United States are bad because Bush is bad, or someone think he's bad. Maybe he's not, but it's just one man, and people in United States have a billion of different ideas. They're not all the same, and I think also Bush himself have different idea between what he have choose to do. So if in every one of us there is a conflict in what is good and what is not good, and it's not that we do always the good thing, and we know this. So if in every one of us there is a conflict, how we can think that just one man represents a nation? So, so we can't hate Afghanistan because because they say that someone have bombed the tower. Because in Afghanistan there are thousands of people who think things different, and maybe no one of them want to bomb the United States, and so. But the general feeling is like you was telling. So Italy loves more, and I think Europe loves more. Maybe not England, but Europe loves more United States than before.
Well, I'm really hard on Obama all the time, so I gotta give him credit for that. At least the Italians like us more. So good job,
Yes,
Obama. At least we won't have to
100%.
go drone strike you guys anytime soon.
He have make nicer T-shirt than the other one.
Yeah. You know, I like the point that you're making. We make that point a lot. We talk about how people aren't their government. Like, and I say about Iran all the time. Yeah, Iran's got a crazy government. The people are awesome, so don't hurt the people because of the government, or don't hold the people responsible for what a few people do. But I also think that it's important, an important point about freedom, to do the opposite too, to not allow my government to speak for me. Like a lot of Americans, I talk to them about this kind of stuff, and I say, man, what do you think about our policy in this country or that country? And they go, hey, that's not my decision. I didn't decide that. That's Washington. But it drives me crazy, because it's like, okay, if you were to go over to Afghanistan, say, or go to Bahrain, that's a good example. Ask Bahrain, what do you think about Americans? And they go, Americans, they're the ones giving all the, guns and bullets to the dictator that's just shooting us in the streets. Thanks a lot, Garen Echeverry, you dick. And it drives me up the wall to think that there's somebody out there cursing my name, and I don't have any say in that, So I wish people would be a little bit more assertive and say, we're not going to allow people to suffer in our name anymore. How is that freedom? How is it freedom for, for somebody else to suffer because of me, and I don't, and I don't have any say in that?
And this is interesting, and I think that what you are doing with your blog and what also other people are doing, writing text, writing also poetry, or writing song, or making art, or making whatever, it's important, because it's true that everyone is just one. But if anyone begin to do something, it will be because it's bigger than us. It's impossible to change things. So, for example, you're doing this experience with this blog, and I think it's very interesting. Maybe 5 people, 10 people, 100 people, 2,000 people, or I hope for you 2 billion people will see your blog, and maybe they begin to think about something different. And for example, it's what I'm doing with my drawing, with my art. Maybe also here 5, 10, I don't know how much people can see the work and think. Just at the moment, it's important to make people think. Also, if we don't have the answer to the question, because I don't like really people who have the answer of the question. This make me feel uncomfortable, but just put the question in the table, in the desk. And so this is a good way to be free and to be a collectivity of people that talk and discuss about it.
Yeah. So, I've got 2 questions. I want to ask them at the same time so don't forget. The first question is pretty simple, just talking about, ideas and change. When people look at your art, like what are you trying to convey with your art? Like, just what's the goal, and what do you want people to walk away from, after seeing your art? And the second question, so that I don't forget, is how I agree with you, about asking questions and inspiring thought, and encouraging people to think and ask questions for themselves. But as somebody who does that, I am extremely curious. I'm always learning, and I'm always asking questions. I see that a lot of people don't do that. Most, like we keep saying, most people just want it to be simple. Just tell me who's good, who's bad, black, white, and just I want to be able to consume my information in like 5 minutes and then go on with my day, and that's all most people want to do. So it's like, if they don't want to engage and ask questions, I'm not going to throw my hands up in defeat and say, well, we can't do anything. I'm going to say, how can I make a difference? And if I have to be the guy that has like, I don't want to be the guy with the answers, but if that's what they want, then like I'm going to find a way to try to move things forward in the direction that I want. You know what I mean? So like, if they want to be sheep, do we have to lead them, or I don't know? So those are my two questions.
Okay, so the first question about my art, um, it's what we have discussed until now. So what I would like to do, it's just to make people think about something, and the issue that I'm studying, for example, freedom or other kind of issue, it's not that I want to say, okay, I've studied this subject, things are like this and this, so this is the answer. Just to put question, and it's what we are doing in this conversation. So what we are doing in this conversation, it's what I usually do when people look at my work and begin to ask why are you making this, and so and so, and so we begin a discussion, and everyone have his different idea, and this is what is interesting for me to make this work. And if people don't want to be interrupted during their day, and so you can't take them and tell them, begin to think, begin to do this. First of all, because you're not sure that what you're doing it's the right thing for everyone. And this is the first thing that we have to be convinced. So what you think, what I think, maybe it's not the true, or it's not correct for everyone. So we can't go and push people, making them think something, because in this exact moment they will not be free. What we can do, it's with a really subtle way to make them think. I think about a song, because you hear song in the subway, you hear song at work, you hear song every time and in every moment. And I think song it's a nice way to give message, and people at the beginning just thinks they are having fun and they dance, but maybe they are listening to a strong and power message. And in fact, I think that songs are really important for revolution. And so art, visual art, it's the same thing. Maybe you do a nice work of art, nice color, nice drawn, and so people go and see the work because they are pleased to see it. But after, inside the work, there is a kind of question. And so if you make people please to think, this could be a good way. But not convincing them, shaking them.
I feel like you are, wise, and you're saying things that are very reasonable, and you're right. I'm gonna reluctantly say that you're right. And you're like, we need to be the kind of have a tempered approach. But I'm reading a book right now about the American Revolution, and those guys were like, take to the streets, let's light shit on fire, let's go kill some redcoats. That's the approach to freedom that resonates with me. I'm like, I want to have some, I want to wreck shit up a little bit, Let's go take our freedom. You're saying the things that are right. You're like, let's just, the real way to do it is to, build, educate people, bring them over to our side. you're not really about wrecking shit up. That's a bit
It's
of a
like
sticking point for me.
it's not. It's like the song "Father and Son," Paul Simon and Garfunkel. You
Uh huh.
know, the father say to the son, "Just keep calm, take it easy. You're still young. You need to grow up." And so the father usually say, "Okay, you're angry, but try to give a direction to your angriness." No, but it's true that in some moment, hungry, we need also to be hungry, because if everyone is relaxed in his sofa, things will not change. So historically, sometimes need some people to be hungry, and sometimes need to be really hungry. And so maybe you feel that this is the moment. It could be. I don't live in your country, so I can't say this, but it could be the moment. It depends in what you feel, and everyone can work on this in different way. So maybe if I go in a street, I am not that power if I stay in my house and I write a song. Everyone have a different way to react, but sometimes going in the street it's really important.
So, you've studied or not, and did research and done your art, in different places around the world. Do you see any like global trends in this subject? Like you said, you don't know what it's like in my country. Do you think that everybody kind of is in their own situation, or do you see anything that like a global trend?
As I was telling you before, when I was in the United States, I have interviewed 40 people that were based in New York but born in different parts of the world. And I have seen how freedom is different. I can imagine about some friend of mine that can tell me freedom. It's for me. I don't want to feel Italian. Maybe I want to feel just European, or maybe I want to feel a citizen of the world. This is freedom. I want to go everywhere when I want. Uh, at the opposite, I have interviewed someone who was coming from Palestine, and for him, freedom was to have country, so that other nation define Palestine as a country. Because if you don't have this, you don't have a passport, and he always, every year that he was studying in New York, he have to go to the police or somewhere and say, "Look, I am born here. Also, if this place is not defined by anyone, I am born here, so I have some rights." So maybe I feel I don't want to be, I want to be a citizen of all the world. His feeling was completely different. He want to be a citizen of Palestine, of a really small country, about 1 million of people. And so, for every one of us, freedom it's a really, really, really different thing. But the work that I'm doing now, it's work about the iconography linked by the revolution. So the poster that people use during the manifestation. And it's quite strange that from, we can say, from the Soviet Revolution, so 195 years ago, from now, the iconography, it's always really similar. So how people visualize their protest, it's really, really similar. If you have a look on the banner, on the poster that people brings in their hand, this is something really common. And when always I say the same thing, because always the question is the same. We want freedom from someone, but you will not find in any poster in the street how you can get this freedom. So when you will have the freedom from this one, how you can go ahead. So this is what I feel similar in the last 100 years of protest. And also now, if you see the poster about Occupy Wall Street, they have the same kind of font, the same kind of color, red and black, about poster that have 100 years. And this is really, really interesting. And so this is my new work.
Cool. It's gotta be cool too to see. I don't know, just like you said, here's these supposedly differing voices, like Occupy Wall Street. Oh, this is, something totally different. But like you, as the work you're doing, you can take a step back and you can see, here's these threads that connect everything, and it's all the same. And one thing that I think about with freedom a lot is how we talk about freedom mostly in a political context, but we don't really talk about freedom in a personal or like a social context where, and I would assume maybe like with the economic things going on in Italy, this is probably very true in Italy too, but like in America, we have really high unemployment, and we just have like my generation is kind of like this lost generation a little bit, where people don't know what they want to do. They're still living with their parents. I lived with my parents for a long time, and going back to school to get degrees that they don't need just to postpone any serious decisions, and people aren't getting married, they're not having kids, and we're not growing up. So it's like, okay, well, you can be free, but why does it even matter? Like if you don't have a purpose in your life, like if you don't have something that matters more than you and the way that you're going to change the world and make an impact on the world, if you go work at a job you hate every day just to like barely pay bills, like is that what freedom looks like? Like you're part of this system that just is, it's this big hamster wheel. Is that really freedom? Like, yeah, if you want to go vote every 4 years, that makes you feel good, go for it, but that's not what real what freedom looks like.
Yes, absolutely. I think we are talking always about the same, the meaning that maybe freedom is participation. And so if you participate to the political and social life of your country to reach a higher level of freedom, but not just for yourself, but for everyone, this is a good way to work on your freedom and freedom for everybody. But it's true that if you don't have a job, if you don't have any money, it's difficult to talk about freedom. So in the moment of economical crisis, it's more and more difficult to talk about freedom. Maybe freedom it's just to have a job, because if you have a job, you have some money and you are free to eat or to do the basic things. So this could be an idea to be free. So be your, how you say, your rat inside the wheel. Maybe also if you are inside a wheel, you are free, because if you don't have anything, this could be the first way to be free. It's always the same. Philosophers have talked about the opposition between man in the state of nature and man in society. Maybe men in the state of nature were really free, because no one tells them what they have to do. If they are angry, they take plants or something in the forest and they eat, etc., etc. And in the society, you have 1,000 of things you have to do, because you have to go to school, because you have to do this and you have to do this. And so maybe we can think that in society you are not so free as a people in the state of nature. We can say as a prehistorical people. But if you think about prehistorical people, so someone who live in a forest with any contact between other people, just a moment he gets sick, he will die. So he can die 12 years old, 15 years old, with nothing, with something that maybe also we don't think about it. So maybe this is not freedom, because it's not free, it's not allowed to live a long life. So another time, freedom depends a lot in how you define it and what you need. Because really, I repeat, I can't think that going in the forest and live alone in a nice lake with fish, this is a complete freedom. But after, if I see the movie Castaway, I will not be so happy to live this kind of experience.
I think maybe because at first you were saying how maybe the hamster in the hamster wheel, that is freedom in relation to a hamster that doesn't have any food, it's starving to death. At least this one, is operating in its environment or whatever. But before you even said the thing about man and nature, I said, yeah, well, relative to the starving one, it's free or whatever. But I don't want to be a hamster in a wheel. I want to be a bear out in the woods eating fish, or I want to be a lion.
You are
And
not.
what's that?
You are not, Gary.
No, but that's how I like to think of myself. I want to be out, predator in the wild or whatever. But I think that maybe the thing is that we need to figure out what man's true nature is, and like what is man's ideal environment, and then reverse engineer from there. Like if a hamster was designed to run on the hamster wheel, then yeah, that's what his construct needs to look like. And we need to say what's man's ideal like operating environment, and then how do we build our construct so that we're achieving that, And I think that maybe right now where we're at, like, it makes sense. We all agree that this is what we were meant to do, but I don't think so. Like, I think maybe if we got a little bit more creative, we would realize maybe there's another kind of like a higher plane of existence, and then how do we design our construct so that we're operating on that level?
No, yes, I am agree. But if you look at any kind of society, I also think about USA, but not just USA, a lot of country. And if you think about the last 100 years of history, you have the feeling that things have changed a lot. So maybe to have civil rights for everyone, it's really a good step to begin. And it's not because when we live our time, maybe we feel that everyone have the same rights and everyone is equal, etc., and it's all normal. But I think when people in the next 100 years we look about our society, they can't believe we are acting like this. And so, but if we are living in this moment, it's very difficult to understand what is the street. And I think, I don't know if I was in the United States or in ancient Rome. For me, maybe it could be normal to have a slave if I was not a slave, obviously. and so I don't know if what I think it's normal, that slavery is terrible, etc. I don't know if 100 year I could have the same feeling, or 2000 year before in the Roman Empire. I don't know if I was Roman, if maybe I was agreed that slave could exist. Like if we have dog that we go in park in or make a walk with a dog in our hand, like this. I don't know how you call this
Collar.
collar to a dog. What is this? For me, it's normal because I see 1,000 of this in the street. But maybe in 100 years, they say, but they were just mad. Dog, collar, dog that live in your house, who don't have any right, who is just something, an object that you give him food in the ceiling, and what kind of rights are these? But I don't have this sensation. I don't think now nothing strange, but just because I am living this moment. And so I think that 100 years ago, or maybe 120 years ago, if I was living in a south part of the United States, I could live normally with 2 or 3 slaves around me. And maybe I didn't react about this because that's normal. So change things that are normal. It's the most difficult things because we didn't understand now because we are living this moment. And so making change, you have to be really with a lot of light around you, but just a few people have it.
Yeah. Man, a lot to think about. We've already talked for a long time, so I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but maybe just a couple last questions really quick.
With pleasure.
So, obviously we've talked about freedom the whole time, but tell us something about Italy. Like, what do we, if somebody, you're the first face somebody has met from Italy, what do they need to know about your country? What's something important to know about your country?
I was not prepared on this. No, it's normal that people usually think about Italy like a place to go to see historical things. And that's true because we have some of the most beautiful historical architecture, building, art. And so this is true. But when you live in this country, you feel that contemporary it's also very important for us. So we are not just a museum of our history, but we are a nation who try to do new things with businessmen, with artists, and with different kind of people like everywhere in the world. So, and also another banal thing, it's that Italy it's not so big, but in this country there are like thousands of different landscape from highest mountain to sea, lake, etc., and place with nobody, you feel alone. So I think that Italy it's a nice place to live. Also, if we are not the heart of the world, but everyone obviously love to feel the art of the art of the world. But also, if we know that we aren't, but we feel that we can do good, and every one of us is working hard to do it. So I really love to work and live in this country.
Yeah.
Also, if we have a lot of problem, etc., we don't know nothing about melting pot. We are like 100 years ago about this kind of subject. Every country have his problem. I think melting pot will be the new step for our country, because other way we will die. But it's so difficult. People don't really love other people that come from other country, and this is crazy because for a long time, we were people that travel in other country to take work, and people didn't love us a lot when we were in the United States or in other country. So now we are doing the same thing with people that come here, and this is very. This I feel is something that we have to work a lot on, but in the mind of all the people. And the difference could be what is happening. It's that now, if you go to a school, you have people from Asia, you have people from Africa, you have people from different parts of the world. So the people who have now, I don't know, 10 years old, when they will be the people that are the leader of the country, for them, this will be normal. But for people that have not seen someone different from them, also because in Italy we are all from the same religion, you know, and so we are not so we didn't know very well different religions, so we are really terrified about the other religion, the other people, etc. But this is just because it's something new for us. So I have to say that what could work on, what people could work on in Italy, it's melting pot, and see that different people coming from different parts of the world, it's something that give richness to a country, give something good and not something bad.
That just gets back to what we were talking about identity, you know? Italians go, this is what it means to be Italian. You know, we're all Catholic, we all love pasta, we all love soccer, you know, we all look kind of like this.
Yes.
And all of a sudden all these people show up, you got all these Muslims show up, or Albanians, or whoever you have, and you're like, whoa, that's not who Italians are, you know, you guys worship a weird religion, and they feel like they took something, like you're stealing part of my identity, you know, you're stealing what it means to be Italian.
It's this. It's just this, like you are telling. So we need sort of maturation. We need to make more effort in this way. We are trying to do a little bit, but it's not enough. Really not enough.
Or just kick them all out.
Yes.
Just drive them back across the sea.
Second way. But you laugh about this, but half of political men think like this. Yeah. Really, kick them out, and they say in the television, they say everywhere. So if you say this in Italy, people will not laugh because it's normal. It's normal that political men say this. So it's so strange, but it's like this. So yes, I think this is the most big deal for us to work on.
Yeah, and I know I'm not. I mean, America's the same way. We talk about Mexicans the same way. Just kick them all out. Or that, I don't want to make any enemies here, but look at Greece. In Greece, they're like, let's go beat them all up. Let's go beat them up and light their stuff on fire.
Yes, but if you are really coherente, we can say correct. So if you want to kick out Greece people, you have also to destroy all the building made in a classical Greek architecture. So I think in Washington you will have just 2 or 3 wooden houses that will left up. So if you don't want somebody and you want to push it out, you have to push everything out. You can't take just one that you like, another things that you like, another one that you like, or you take all the pack, or you don't take nothing. So because our society is built up from Greek period and after from Roman period, etc., etc., etc. We can't say that this doesn't exist. Also because all the building, all the representative building that you have are built up with column, and we can say has the Partenone in Athens. So you have to decide, or you take everything, or you push everything. You can't choose what is good and what is not.
I saw this great video the other day. It was somewhere in the Southwest in America, and there was this big demonstration, and all these guys have signs, and they were all like protesting all the Mexicans, that are taking the jobs or whatever. So they're all chanting and yelling about, keep America for the Americans and stuff. And this Native American guy walks up, this Indian guy, and he's just like, "Shut up, you assholes! We were here first. You took our stuff. If you wanted everybody to get out, then you get out first."
In fact, if you see this from Europe, it makes you laugh because it's always an idea of limit. How you define someone who is American? Maybe if your parents are born or maybe if you are born in the United States, or your parents are, or your grandfather are, or your I don't know, grandfather. When is the limit? When you are and when you are not? And this is impossible. So maybe just the Native American can say something against the Mexican. But I think, unfortunately, they have more to say against other people that came before.
Yeah. I don't think the Mexicans were too hard on the Native Americans.
And no, but when I've talked about freedom with this American teacher, he was talking about Mexican people, and he say freedom for us is wellness, to have things to say in a good way, and this kind of life, it's due to people that come from out and work hardly and are like this new sort of slave. So I think that also American and also Italy have a sort of slavery class. People that come from North Africa don't have any kind of right and work for 40 hours per day for nothing. And so, we say we don't want, but at the end, it's what we need. Also, China, we don't like a lot Chinese people because they make product for nothing and they sell it for nothing, because maybe in China there is any right when you work, but after every one of us use Chinese things. I think this is Chinese. I don't know, maybe this, or maybe everything of me is Chinese. Also, maybe my beer it's fake and Chinese. But I can't talk in a bad way about Chinese people if I wear Chinese clothes, or if every day I watch Chinese TV, or if my Macintosh, part of my Macintosh is made in China. So we have to be more stronger if we want to say that we don't like something, because people love to say that they don't like this and this and this and this, but at the end, if you see in the truth, they are using 99% of what they are not loving.
Mm-hmm. Just think about the people who like film the protests or police brutality. They're like, this is so amazing. We all have smartphones, and it gives us the opportunity to finally document oppression. And then there's some guy who's locked in a factory in China, 3,000 people to make it. Thank you for being my slave, so that I can finally show the slave master. It's like, I don't know. I think the one holding it in his hand.
And here, my dear Gairin, we come back to this famous rat who is running in his wheel. everything it's coming around and around and around and again and again and again, and it's difficult to go out from this wheel, because if you want to communicate you need this kind of things, or you take a piece of paper and you draw, but no one will see your draw, because also you have to make a photo to your draw, and maybe the machine that you use. So we are really in a wheel, and also if we want, it's really difficult to go out to this. Maybe, but I don't know if it is the truth. Just being part of a system can allow you to destroy this system. Maybe. So we will continue for some years to run in this wheel.
You gave me a little bit of hope there at the end. For a second, I thought that this conversation took a very fatalistic turn, but then you gave me that little seed of hope at the end.
Yes.
Maybe just being a mindless cog in this wheel will.
You know, it's a big wheel, and even it's better than a wheel because it's a globe, and it's even better because also if we don't run, the globe continue to run by itself. So we are luckier than the rat that we have talked about before. But at the end, it's not a wheel, it's a globe, but at the end it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, we could probably talk forever about this, but I don't want to take up your whole day here. Just one last question, I guess. If you had the opportunity to give one message to the whole world, you know, you're on your soapbox and like you were talking about ideas and trying to get people to think, what would be your one message that you would want to impart to everybody?
Fortunately, I'm not a political man, so I have not to think about slogan, and so I've never think about this. But for me, the most important thing is trying to have respect for other people's mind, because usually we think that other people are stupid or they're not so clever and so and so and so. No. but you know, I always have the feeling that if there is someone that I feel is a little bit stupid, and I feel this every day, but a second after I think that I am a little bit more stupid than him. So this could be a nice point to begin. Being everyone stupid, or if it is not like this, try to don't think that other people are stupid just because they act in a different way like us. So also, if I don't like people that bomb, or I don't like people that steal, etc., etc. A second after, I try to make a hard work on myself and say, what are the reasons of these people? And at the end, I think that maybe if I was in the same position, I act in the same way. So this a little bit of relativism. I don't know if you use this kind of word. Could be good after 100 years that Albert Einstein is born, and maybe more than 100 years.
No, I mostly agree with you. I say the same thing a lot. You know, I always say I'm not smarter than anybody else. I'm not better than anybody else. You know, these are just my ideas. But then maybe it's easier in America, but every once in a while, people just make it impossible to think that way. You know, like last week we had this, I don't know if he was a senator or a representative, but he introduced this bill that would I can't remember exactly how it worked, but it would allow us to like target and punish relatives of people in Iran that violated the sanctions. It's like a total mafia thing. Like, we're gonna go hurt your family. Like, if you do things, we're gonna hurt your family. And I'm like, okay, I'm not smarter than most people, but that guy's fucking retarded. You know, I'm definitely a better person than him. I'd like to take the high ground, but he's making it too hard. That guy's an idiot.
Yeah, it's true that sometimes sometimes you can't act like everyone.
Yeah,
So
I want to do the noble thing, but you make it too damn hard. And unfortunately, he's one of our leaders.
which kind of leader?
He's a Republican. I remember that. I think he's from Arkansas or something. I can't. I'm not saying. I'm not gonna make like the redneck thing. I'm a total redneck. I have like a closet full of guns and stuff. So I'm not gonna make that assertion. But I was so stupid when I read that. All right, cool. Well, thank you so much for talking to me today. That was really interesting. You gave us lots of stuff to think about.
A pleasure and congratulations for the work that you're doing.
You too. I'm gonna Google your stuff, see if I can find some of your artwork online.
With pleasure.
Cool. Well, thank you very much. Thanks for the ideas.
Bye, and I hope to see you in real life sometime.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe we'll bump into each other in Miami or something. I'm all the way at the other corner of the United States, but
There is the plane.
yeah. I'll buy you a beer someday soon.
Bye, Gary.
Cool. I look forward to our next conversation.
Bye.
See ya. So there you have it, Pietro from Italy. I hope that conversation maybe kind of sparked some of your synapses and got you thinking about what freedom really means to you. That's a word that we throw around a lot, but we don't really put a lot of effort into defining what it means and how to live our lives accordingly. So hopefully this gave you a couple things to chew over in your brain. And if you had any things that struck you or stood out to you or caused you to come to any kind of revelations, leave them in the comments below. And stay tuned for more interviews coming up soon.